Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Willow. In the last part we started off the game and reached Bogarda's cave, and now we're gonna do our first dungeon here. Most of the dungeons in this game, I say most because the last two aren't quite so, use this exact texture we're looking at, this tile set. We're going through a bunch of caves which all look a lot of the same. There's maybe 6 to 7, maybe 8 different standard rooms you're going to be going through, and you need to circumnavigate your way around. Willow's dungeons are very much a case for making your own maps to hopefully find your way around. I'm not going to be bullshitting you with wandering though. I'm going to go right from one objective to the next, in what's usually me trying to make the shortest path possible to get all the items that any area might have. The biggest difference with most dungeons is the enemies that you encounter within them. Although I say that, but most of the enemies in this dungeon, from my memory, are the bats we found in the cave where you got the small shield. They'll sometimes do the split into a king bat, sometimes they won't. Honestly, I think it's dependent on how you move and how quickly you take out other bats. Now, I'm not heading towards the main objective right now. Where I'm heading is along one very out-of-the-way pathway to get one item. Not even a sword or shield, this is an item. And it's arguably one of the most useful in the game, despite being, I think, one of the only ones, if not the only one that works the way this one does. In this treasure chest, we have the ring! When you wear it, your strength increases by 10 points. So it's a strength boost. I believe in order to have that strength boost applied, you need to at least equip it once. But I might be wrong about that, as I think most of the items in this game are active the moment they enter your inventory. As, for the most part, the items in this game are just key items that you act as keys. Like, there's one later on that you need in order to access this one area that if you go without it, you'll just take constant damage, but if you have it, you take no damage. The sword and the shield are the main thing, and the magic, of course, are going to be the main thing you swap in your menus. Now, my experience with Willow as a quote-unquote franchise... Oh, first I should talk about this thing. This is a zombie. /zombie wizard. You can't touch it at all. If you try to, you just phase right through it. We also got hornets. These guys just chase into you if you get too close to them. The thing is about that zombie-looking dude is that if you're on screen with it long enough, and if you don't get close enough to make it teleport away, it'll cast a spell to inflict a status ailment on you. There are a couple in this game, though this one's the only one that's really notable in my case, as it transforms you into a pig. You can't do anything, you can't even leave screens when you're like that, so you need to make sure you take care of it quickly. Also, we want to head north on this screen, as the next screen contains another chest for us, and this one is really worth getting. We have the battle sword! More strength! Yay! It is a solid and fairly heavy sword. We have the Light of Life as well. Now, as I mentioned last part, your agility stat is the only thing that outright raises when you level up. And it's probably the biggest reason you should do grinding throughout the game, as the later swords require such higher agility stats that your default swings are too slow. So, yeah, make sure you're grinding along the way. And there's also the fact of you need to be at least level 14, 15 to even beat the final boss for reasons of MP totals. Bogarda's cave can be maze-like, but it's still relatively small compared to later caves in the game. Whenever you find a cave entrance like that, usually it'll lead to either a key item or the boss fight.
So it is you, the youngster with the gold statue. What? You won't give me the statue? Do you intend to oppose me, you pitiful creature?
Bogarda is a super easy boss. Just get to the side of him and he can't do much to you. He'll throw his axe, but that's about it. He has so much HP you can just spam fire, and as long as you're like level 4, probably not take enough damage to die. And for beating a boss, you get a certain amount of experience points, which will usually be enough to level you up, at least early on in the game.
Oh, where am I?
Oh yeah, I remember now. Please fight for peace. I will teach you the magic of flowing fire. It should be of help to you. And we have the magic of flowing fire. It is not useful at all.
If you want to know more about Queen Bad Bogarda, go and talk to Charlindria, the fairy who lives west of the village of Dew in legendary Lake Chief.
Game, your sentences need some contractions, please. Either way, flowing fire generates a ring of fire around you. It's absolutely useless. I think I have only ever used it to kill maybe 1 or 2 enemies across my time. Now, I'm not sure if magic attacks like that can kill magical-based enemies like the wizard who will turn you into a pig, because I've never tested it. And also, now we get one of the worst parts about Willow. To leave the dungeons early on in the game, you have to actively backtrack out of them, so I hope you remembered the way you came from. However, I'm going to be saving some time in each video whenever we're in a dungeon, just cutting back out of it, as getting out is as simple as tracing your steps.
Please rest here. By the way, have you heard about the dragon scales? It's said that they're proof of the fight between an adventurer and a vicious dragon called Matanda. I used to be a blacksmith in this village. Just once, I would like to make a magnificent sword with those scales. If you find them, please, bring them to me.
Alright, also, yeah, we're back in the village to do at the dude who I used to heal. As from him is... First off, we get that minor little side quest objective, but it also gives us a good landmark for us to head to our next objective. From here, we want to head back to the village chief's house, as he gives a better direction of where to go than anyone, really.
Oh, what a courageous young man. Thank you very much.
Is what I would like to say, but I actually forgot he does not give you a single lick of a direction to go. Some of this footage was recorded a couple weeks ago, I will admit. Like, the most recent recording, I think, that beat the game was 2 days ago, but, in between those recordings, I actually had to re-render all of Ocarina of Time, as I looked back and I thought the audio wasn't as high as it should be in certain places, so I re-rendered and re-encoded all 36 episodes. So, my brain kind of got scattered. Either way, now I'm near where we got the small shield, as we can now actively head south and access this area. You could have before, but not only do I think the enemies are a bit too hard for that point in the game, but also, and this is the biggest thing, there's a block to your progression later on in here where you need to beat Bogarda's cave. Now, these skeletons are one of my least favorite enemy types in the game. The way they work is that their shield functions like yours does. Only when they are attacking can you attack them. The two strategies I like to use are to bait them to either attack left and right and then attack them from above by just being diagonal from them. Or, and this is the more effective way, just stab because your reach is longer than theirs is. We also got blue skulls, and this is where we get to see how this game does the RPG enemy recolors. Every progressive different color of enemy, which I believe goes grayish to blue to red to a fourth color I can't recall. They just get more HP, essentially.
I am K'chil of the Nail Clan. Our village is in the forest near Lake Chief. When we went to the village of Dew looking for food, Bogarda put a strange spell on the bridge, so we could not get out. But thanks to you, it looks like we can finally return to our village. Thank you.
So yeah, if you came over here before beating Bogarda, you would walk onto the bridge, but be pushed almost immediately right back off. We also get hornets. You know, if the bees are this big, how big are the flowers? Notable though, and I'll show this off again later in the LP, that area where I encountered the first skeletons, if you head east of there, there's an area that spawns 5 blue skeletons, or skulls rather, and for this point in the game, that's one of the best grinding spots in the game. You could easily use that to get up to at least like level 7.
We are Frangine and Rule of the Brownie Clan.
Brownies clan.
Who are you? Who are you? You come to see the fairy Charlindria?
Charlindria is the fairy of beautiful Lake Chief.
She is. If you do what we say, we can tell you how to get to Lake Chief. We can. If you go north from here through Death Forest, there is a cave where a dragon called Matanda lives.
defeat Matanda, and bring the crystal ball of life back to us. These characters got really screwed in the game because there's essentially the comedy relief in the movie, though most of the cast is a comedy relief now that I think about it. To the point where I think it's Rule. There's a scene where in the bar he just gets thrown into a keg of beer and he swims in it and just goes, "Beer!" and laughs maniacally. And I don't know why. That just makes me laugh harder than it should. Oh, and also there's just a house here. Don't know who would want to live in the middle of a place called the Death Forest.
What is this? Storming into someone's home unannounced? Wait, you're just in time. My darling pet has run off somewhere. Won't you please find him? His name is Poe. He is really cute. You'll like him for sure. Hold on, take these medicinal herbs in case he is hurt.
And we get some medicinal herbs.
Take care.
The medicinal herbs are especially a case of the item just needs to be in your inventory for progression. The way to look at the items in this game is they're railroad checkpoints to make sure you've hit the proper flags. Now, the Death Forest is pretty literal, as you've seen and can see here. There are trees with mouths on them that fire fireballs at you. I don't think there's ever a way to do damage to them. Maybe the flowing fire spell, but honestly, running past them isn't too hard. They tend to aim for where you are rather than where you were. So as long as you keep moving and you don't corner yourself, they're relatively simple to get around. And even then, to make things a bit better for you, at this point, you have enough MP to use the heal spell a couple of times. So if you get low on HP, just heal. Inns that restore your HP and MP, which is basically every inn after Nelwyn, now that I think about it, are common enough to the point you never need to worry in that regard, unless you're about to enter one of the longer dungeons, which we do in this part, now that I think about it. That's why you don't want to corner yourself. You can get comboed very easily in this game. Willow has enough invincibility frames after you get hit, don't get me wrong. But the collision in the game, with corners especially, can be a bit weird, I think is the way I want to put it. And these are the troll enemies I talked about last part. They'll walk towards you, but when they get close enough, they'll do a jump attack that is really fast. So hopefully you're high enough of a level to make your swipe faster than their jump. Thankfully, the small shield alone makes dealing with them a lot easier. Also, now we get these weird Titan enemies. They work similarly, especially later on in the game, to the weird lizard enemy I encountered back in the forest near Bogarda's cave. As they tend to stay towards the top of the screen, they'll fire some projectiles at you, but unlike the lizard, they will outright charge at you if you get too close. So you need to be a bit more careful. And welcome to one of my least favorite areas in the game. This is Matanda's cave. This is a surprisingly big dungeon for the point in the game it's at. Not to mention, there's a lot of areas we need to go to in order to get everything here. There's, I think, 5 different items, maybe? So we're going to be going up, down, all around. This place is a mess to navigate on a first playthrough. Thankfully, for those who don't mind using this kind of thing, Willow has plentiful maps online. And now we've obtained the gold shield, so our defense is even higher. But yeah, like, just check game facts, and I think there's, like, full maps on there for people who want to use them. They're surprisingly helpful. The name of a swordsman is written inside, on the inside, but it's too old to read. And we also get the light of life, again. Now, I got into this topic earlier in Bogarda's Cave, but my brain never let me finish it. My exposure to Willow as a franchise, quote-unquote. I remembered hearing about this movie and game when I was as young as like 4 or 5 years old from my brother, because my brother is just a general big LucasArts guy, even though he's really big into Star Wars. Like, he likes Howard the Duck, he likes Willow, loves their works because he's a dedicated fan, I guess. But I don't think I saw the movie until around 2010-ish. It's a very... overall, it's relatively by the numbers for fantasy, but it's a fun by the numbers fantasy. Like, you got the prophecy, you got the chosen hero. It plays out a bit like Star Wars, which I think was even a criticism around the time of launch, but it's just too fun to worry about. And now we get the flame sword. It is a sword that is on fire, so you can now damage things better. What a sword! The whole sword is red with flames. Don't light your hair on fire, it's very easy to do. And I remembered hearing about the game around the same time because my brother rented it as a kid. But I didn't play the game, I think, until around 2013. And I've only played it through a couple of times. I remember, and my thoughts by the end of the first playthrough are about the same as my thoughts are going to be at the end of this playthrough. But I have to admit, for a licensed NES game, based off a movie, it's really, really good. And here we get the dragon scale. I remember the old man in Doom mentioning something about these. It is a beautiful green scale. Now you can leave and head over to that guy right now to get the items from that. And theoretically, that would be really helpful just with the latter portions of this cave. But I want to minimize backtracking, so we'll head over there when things are a bit simpler to backtrack to. Plus, it's like I gotta go back to the Death Forest, and that's too many screens to worry about, really. But Matanda's cave is annoying for more than just size. The enemies placed within are especially high level in HP and damage for the point in the game we're at. As we're level 5, this place will only probably be about an intermediate difficulty around level 7 to 9. As the blue skeletons, they're placed in narrow areas, they do a lot of damage, and they have a lot of HP even with the fire sword. Don't even get me started on the red skeletons. These things are assholes because, ow, they hurt a lot.
You're back again, you thief! I'll never give you the crystal ball of life. Although I can't fight. In fact, I can't even fly. I'll give you a bracelet that a thief left here. If you let me be.
And now we have the thieves' bracelet from this old and very clearly dying dragon.
Are you going to leave me alone? What a kind-hearted young man.
The thieves' bracelet is needed for progression as it allows us to reach the next area. Again, that's what most of the items in this game end up being. Note though, I don't believe Matanda was in the movie at all. This game does the thing most NES licensed games do, where they take liberties to either pad out the game's length or make it seem like a more epic quest. As immediately after leaving the forest in the movie, you meet the Val Kilmer character. We're not meeting him until next part, which, in terms of plotline, is maybe another 20 minutes ahead of where we would be in the movie. Ish, maybe 15 or so. It's a 2-hour-long movie, so it scales a bit off in my head. Also, in lieu of a boss fight, we just have this upgraded version of the lizard enemy from near Bogarda's cave. You can either decide to fight it, or just tank hits through it and heal, because you're going to be getting a full HP and MP restoration in a moment anyway.
Oh, thank you. Yes, my name is Poe. That forest of death gives me the creeps. Sometimes I just have to get out of there. Anyway, the senile old dragon back there, Matanda, got really huffy waving his big tail around just because I played with the crystal ball a little bit. He damaged my prize feathers, but thanks to you, I have been saved. Hey, I know. I'll give you this ocarina, which I picked up in the forest.
And now we have the magic ocarina. I'll talk more about this thing's purpose as a magic spell when we use it the first time, as it'll be easier to explain there.
If you ever need me, just call me with this ocarina.
That's a good hint to what it does. But with that, we can now just leave. Even the new exit we need to get to reach the next area is right next to the main entrance. So I'm just going to be jump cutting back to the entrance. Just trace your steps. It's not that hard to do. Finding your way through the dungeons without a map or knowing what you're doing is hard, but I have played the game enough to know where I need to go at least. Though along the way, I probably should show this off. Here's what I'm hoping I remember to put in the footage. Yes, I did. This zombie thing I talked about in Bogarda's cave. This is what it does. I'm a pig now. When you're a pig, you can't use spells, you can't attack, you can't even leave the screen. You just have to dodge, I think it's like 3 to 4 fireballs from the zombie and hopefully get out of there quickly because sometimes the timer between castings is a little bit short. This sucks, but I think your stats are still kept in mind, so as long as you have good enough armor and weapons, or I guess armor more in this case, you don't need to worry too much. With that, now we're back near the main entrance. So now, once we get to the entrance with the Thieves' Bracelet, that door opens. I don't get the correlation of the Thieves' Bracelet opening a cave secret passageway, but I'll take it. Creepy. Welcome to beautiful Lake Chief. I am the protector of this lake, the fairy Sherlindria. Take this cane with you. It's a legendary magic cane. Only those who are pure in heart may use it. During this coming adventure, you must put your all into using this cane to its utmost. When this cane reaches its true potential, it will be the beginning of the end for all wicked beings.
And we have Sherlindria's magic cane. Cool.
Now, Willow, go north. Finn Rizal, the messenger of Earth, is waiting for you. Willow, you are the only one who can save her. She was turned into an opossum by the evil magic of Queen Bavmorda. Now go! Go north!
Okay. But with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 3, we're going to be heading north. See you guys then.